is their backup quarterback, and look at this new play caller. We always like the new toys. When these new guys get out there and they're flashy, and we're just like, oh, let's make. They made such a big story about it. And so now, what I've noticed is, Ezekiel Elliott, I think, is still a really dominant player. But what gets lost is, in the first half, I believe he's first in yards. And in the second half, he's like 12th. So what that tells you is two things. One, they're getting behind in football games. And two, they're abandoning the run game altogether. Which, when you have a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, throw the money out. Okay, I know we've heard the money story, and I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing about, they paid him. Well, at the same time, they paid him, but they're not utilizing him like they should. Ezekiel Elliott is still, I think he's 5th in carries and 6th in yards in the NFL, and that's with his lack of use in the second half. I believe it was a couple weeks ago, I believe it was the Buffalo game. I think he had 5 carries in the second half. That's insane. Like, what is going on? Like, you have a running back that is as good as he is. Now, you can say he's not as dominant as he was or whatever it may be. He is still a really good running back, and they're tough to find in the NFL nowadays. I think the biggest thing, it goes back to play calling, and we've seen that with him. And Jerry Jones is not helping the issue, but at the same time, Jerry Jones, his patience has run very thin with that coaching staff, as he's made it clear he's not happy. He shouldn't have this team at 6-6 right now, and he's right. This is a good football team. They were a good defense earlier in the year. Something's going on there. The thing is, at the end of the day, the Cowboys, you still have Dak Prescott, who has played great this year. You still have Ezekiel Elliott. You still have a good offensive line. You still have Amari Cooper. You still have Michael Gallup. And you've even got guys that have worked really well, like Randall Cobb, guys that came in that weren't supposed to make a big splash, but it's been huge for them. And that defense has been good. Not great, but they've been good. Big thing tonight, Vander Esch is out again for them. Jeff Heath's out at safety. Tony Pollard, now that may not seem like a big deal, but Pollard's made a little splash this year as a backup running back. He is questionable right now. This is a huge statement game for them because, listen, it would, even if it was at home, you would expect them to win, but I think they can make more of a statement going to Soldier Field and beating a Bears team that doesn't really know who they are. I mean, we've heard for the Bears, Trubisky, we've heard that song and dance is get him out of there, like he's done, but they're trying to, they did too much to get him. So they're trying to hang on to that. And then, Montgomery is a really good running back. He's just played for a bad team this year. Like, offensively, they have been a mess. It's not good when Chase Daniel comes in the game and he gets applause. Like, that's not good. Chase Daniel has never gotten applause, even when he was in college. No, but for the Bears, here's the thing.
Chase Daniel is the new Kyle Orton.
Yeah.
He's the new Matt Castle. The guys that you don't know, like, they get the call on the couch and they're on your team the next week. Some of them got paid handsomely, too, like Brock Osweiler. Brock the Hawk out there. We say best quarterback at getting a cat out of a tree. Now, Brock Osweiler, he got paid like $72 million. So he is fine sitting on a very plush couch right now. One I would like to right now with one of those Snuggie blankets. Oh, man. But yeah, you get those guys. That's Chase Daniel. You're not Matt Moore. There's those quarterbacks. We all know the names.
Used to be Ryan Tannehill, and now
Tannehill was one of them.
Now look at him. But when I look at this game, the Cowboys should win the football game. Because the thing is, we say this every week. They should win this football game. But the Bears, this is the perfect time for the Bears to come out of nowhere. They've won 3 straight. That's the other part about this. When you look at them, you're like, they're 6-6. They're not very good. The defense isn't as strong. Well, that's kind of true. But they still have Khalil Mack over there. But I think the Cowboys will do a good job of kind of taking him out of the game. I don't think Mack will have a sack tonight. Oh, look at that, Mack and sack. How about
that?
Yeah, the old Mack sack.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, but no, I don't think he'll have a sack tonight. And I think Ezekiel Elliott, he has to go over 100 yards, and I think he will. I think the Bears, if you can penetrate that defense, you can run the football on them. That's it. I mean, their passing, their secondary is good. They're not top tier, I guess, but if you can hurt this defense, it's running the football, and that's what the Cowboys want to do. But here's the thing: it's on Kellen Moore tonight, not necessarily Jason Garrett. Kellen Moore has to just give him the football. Like, this whole you get 5 rushes in the second half against the Bills, they were never that far out of that game. They allowed themselves to do that by becoming one-sided. The Cowboys are only good when they can go 50-50 when they talk about rush to pass. So I'm saying the Cowboys are going to win tonight. I actually have a little bit of faith in them because this is the get-right game for them.
Tickets as low as $88 to take something out of your page right there.
Way too cold for $88.
Wait, yeah. You can go back home if you're a Cowboy fan at the final game of the season against the Redskins in a meaningless football game for the Skins in a $35. So save your money for that game right around Christmas. And
get a couple extra beers instead.
Right there. Looking at some of the other things going on right now in the world of NFL football, we talked a little bit about Josh Shaw. But when we found out that he actually took a parlay against his team, that's when, to me, shame on you. We're done. At that point, it was one thing when we were already upset that he was betting on the game. You just don't do that, But if you're going to go out there and you're going to actually bet against your team, to me, that's
shame on you.
Shame on you. Look, he was going to be kicked out of the league regardless. Like, they were going to be like, we're done with you. You're not a big enough name. As Charlie Sheen would say, you're not winning, so nobody really cares if Josh Shaw. He was on the IR anyway. Nobody really, honestly, we work in this business, and the first thing I said was like, who the blank is Josh Shaw? And then we looked it up and Googled and then checked it out. Now, then you go to the next where it's like, okay, how bad was it? Well, if he bet on his team, but he was injured and he was maybe fantasy football on his players, okay, that's different. No. Okay, bet on the team, maybe bet on his team to win. He's like rah-rah on the couch.
Yeah,
no.
second half bet.
I'm happy. I mean, if he bet on his team, even though he would still be probably reprimanded as he should.
Right.
The bigger story here, and I say this not condoning anything I'm saying here. Always have to put that in disclaimers. But the person that gets caught smoking weed in a car that's driving down I-10, and he's hotboxing the car and he lets it out of the windows like it's a chimney.
Whoa. Why are you talking about you coming into the station today?
No, that was a eucalyptus. That was me breathing right there.
Yeah.
Right there, sucking it in right now. But look, it was firewood in the car.
This studio, by the way, smells like peppermint oil.
Just firewood. It does. We have like
great, by the way.
We look like one of those like little apothecary, whatever they're called. I don't even know the names of them right now. You walk in, those places in the mall that you're not going to go in as a guy unless it's a holiday, like Bed Bath & Beyond, but they always smell ridiculous, like citrusy.
Whoa!
Right?
I go in Bed Bath & Beyond
just to walk around and smell. That's how I take a shower in the morning. But so this, to get to this point, that's very vital to the show. So when the car is hotboxed and it's getting out and the smoke's coming out of the car, and then the guy is like, man, I'm an NFL player. Be like, yeah, but you're going to jail. Now, if you want to do that as an NFL player, go on your couch at your mansion and light up a doobie with your friends.
Blaze it.
Do what you need to do. Once again, not condoning it. But if you're going to do it in your own. Nobody has ever been like, investigative report. The cops and SWAT broke down star defensive tackle blah, blah, blah's house in California as him and his friends played video games. They heard the sound of a bong rip. Like, nobody has ever done that in the history of the world. So, Laramie Tunsil got caught in a photo, and we all just were like, "Oh, that looks bad."
That was a bad photo.
You had a Confederate flag, you had an Agent Orange mask. He looked like something out of like an Eli Roth, like Hostel movie.
Not to mention, he's huge, by the way.
It looked like a Hostel movie. That looked like something that Rob Zombie would feature in his next flick. So that was a little different. Now, what we're saying here to this point is, if you're Josh Shaw, if you're going to gamble on your team, or you're going to gamble against your team in a parlay, how the heck did this have a trace and a paper trail to you?
Exactly.
Because if you're a bookie, not too many guys out there are going to the bookie's not going to go down to the police station and be like, psst, got some inside. Be like, what, that you're a bookie? Like, Jim, we know I took a bet with you, but we're not supposed to be here. This is still not right. You can't do this. But bookie's not going to rat you out. So you went online and signed up for an online account or something with your name on it? Like, you could have had a friend or a girlfriend place it for you? Like, what in the blazes, how could this get back to you? Like, how stupid can you be to have this get back to you? To me, this makes no sense. It's like Leonard Fournette getting a suspended license because he couldn't pay $300 of a fine. Like, that's when you, like, give a buddy, you look on the couch, you're like, hey, Ricky, here's $500. Just pick up some Whataburger on the way home. Like, just, you have that kind of money. There's no excuse where you can pay that off. It's just thinking you're above the law in so many ways. And when we see this with athletes, we see this with people, and you're just sitting in the back like, why? You don't have to do this. And for him, he's an idiot already for a couple of these reasons, but to have a paper trail that people are like, you bet against your team, your name is written right here on the online account that bet this. Like, how could you be that stupid, knowing that you're an NFL player? Not anymore.
Well, you look at Pete Rose. That's when you talk about betting.
That was different then.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And what I mean is Pete Rose, you bet for his team. I believe that. Like, Pete Rose is that type of guy that says we're gonna win. I'm trying to not use expletives the way Pete Rose would. But they knows they're going to win the ball game, and we look at Shaw. Like, I agree with you. What in the world is going through your head during all this? You don't even have to have somebody create a fake account. You can do it. Like, you can make a fake name. You could be Chad Brillante.
That is a
like
fake
there
name,
you
by
go.
the way.
And
it's
then
my 15th name, by the way. Shh, don't say.
No, but it's absolutely insane. Like, to see a guy in that position to do something like that, and it's just. What is going on, with that? You almost wonder, like, did he just have a lapse? Like, was he under some good stuff? Was he maybe blazing it a little bit himself? Who knows?
When we come back, we'll look at some of the college football championship matchups and the offensive player of the year in the Big Ten, Justin Fields. But we're going to ask you the question. If Ohio State gets in, if Georgia is to beat LSU, and you have Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, and Georgia, he's the Big Ten player of the year, but what quarterback would you start him over? One of the teams decided not to, and that's why he's the Big Ten player of the year. It's coming back right here. It's Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Holiday Inn Express wants to let you in on a little secret. Members can now get up to 30% off at HolidayInnExpress.com during our Cyber Week sale. We'll even throw in free breakfast. Just kidding. Breakfast is always included in your stay at Holiday Inn Express. Book now and save at HolidayInnExpress.com. Terms apply.
Technology Truths, brought to you by Geico.
Technology Truths.
Truth, you will certainly send any text about your supervisor to your supervisor.
What's with Janet's bangs? Did she lose a bet with a weed whacker? LOL. And send. Wait, no.
Truth. It's so easy to switch and save on car insurance at geico.com.
Janet, I think my phone was hacked or something.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh, my gosh. That's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to that compelling moron.
He's nothing but a lame-head old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cowturd.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
A reminder coming up here this week on ESPN Pensacola, you're not going to want to miss on Friday at 7 p.m. the Pac-12 championship game right after the Sports Drive. Also, at Seville Quarter, it's a special edition of the Sports Call with Davis Allen, Justin Patrick right there at Seville Quarter from 10 to 11:30, the 11:30 UWF pregame show, and then 5:30 ACC championship. So it should be an exciting day as the ACC championship might be good for a little while right there. 28-point spread, but still a good chance for Clemson to prove a little bit of worth, I guess, against Virginia. Then Sunday, Kansas City and New England. We'll be down at World of Beer for the NFL Tailgate Show from 10 to noon with all the big games. And then right here on the network, you can hear the Chiefs and Patriots at 3. And welcome back. It is Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I am Chad Brillante alongside Jeff Price as Coach K a little bit under the weather. I feel him on that. Hopefully he'll get back after this championship week. Big week here in college football. And a lot of intriguing matchups. There's not one game that is out of the major conferences, the Power Five. Every one of the games is pretty much a touchdown spread or more. The closest is Oregon and Utah, and that's 6.5 points. And Jeff, I know you're at this point after the last couple weeks, the way Oregon has played, you're not as high as you were on them. But I truly believe that Justin Herbert, California, I could be wrong on this, but and maybe it's just my own, because I've watched them twice this year, and it was USC and Auburn, and they look like a very good, complete team. And I've watched Utah, too. They can hit hard. This is a good football team. I just think Oregon is the one team that is going to be able to go in there out of the Pac-12 that matches up well against Utah and is going to win this game. I think we're going to, and it's also going to end the conversation. Usually in sports, when you get to these moments, all we do when everybody hypes something up, and I know it's like, woo, like some voodoo witchcraft here. This is not real. I mean, they have to play the game. But usually, when everybody's hyping it up, like the Madden curse or things like that, then it gets to the point where it's answered for us. And if Oregon beats Utah, the answer is pretty easy. Georgia wins, they're in. And whoever wins Baylor, Oklahoma is getting in. And that's what we would get. Honestly, I mean, people would make a case for it to see a 2-loss Florida, a 2-loss team over a team like Baylor. But, if you win that division, you're in. And win that conference in the Big 12. You see the same thing going on, though, with Oregon and Utah this week?
I think it'll be close, but at the same time, I mean, I lost a little confidence in Oregon after really not only the Arizona State game, because I kind of had a feeling that was coming, but I mean, even last week against Oregon State, we won by 2 touchdowns, but Oregon State had the ball and was driving before they fumbled and we picked it up. So, listen, this would be a great game. I agree. Justin Herbert going back, California, everything, all these cards kind of come together, a way for them to upset Utah, go to the Rose Bowl. They know they're out of it, but they know that they can play spoiler. And Cristobal, the one thing for games like this, he gets up for. He gets those guys, and that's where I have a lot of faith in Mario Cristobal. But here's the thing with Utah. And nobody knows anything about Utah unless you're somebody, I guess, kind of like me, that I'm a Pac-12 guy, so I pay attention. Utah's defense is nasty. Mm-hmm. They're really nasty.
Mitt Romney knows a little bit about BYU and Utah. Yeah.
Tyler Huntley, the quarterback for Utah, he's a great dual threat. He's thrown for 2,700 yards, 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's a good decision maker. The thing with Utah that makes them so good is they can run the football, no matter if it's with the quarterback or if it's with Zach Moss, the running back. These guys are solid. They're well coached. They don't make very many penalties. This is going to be really tough because this is where Oregon, they have a couple injuries, but I don't think that'll be that big of a deal for them because these are two evenly matched teams. They average about 35 points a game. Utah gives up 11 points a game where Oregon gives up 15. Total yards, 453 to 452. Like, this on paper just looks like it's going to be a colossal matchup. But I think it's more for Utah, they have to win by 2 touchdowns, in my opinion, to get the respect they need for the playoff because I've said this before. Ever since the rankings came out, I said it a couple weeks ago, it was just setting up for Oklahoma and Baylor. It was almost like a trick. Like, Utah's 5, Oklahoma's 6, Baylor's 7. Even if, Utah, they beat Oregon by a touchdown, and then Oklahoma beats Baylor. Well, 6 played 7, 5 played 13. So it was just an easy cop-out for the committee to go, well, Oklahoma, they showed us more. They played a tougher team, and they won. So Utah, in my opinion, I think Utah will win the football game. As much as I hate to say it, I hope not. But because of watching them last week, they match up really well with Oregon, on defense especially. And, Oregon has one of the better offensive lines in the nation. But I think that secondary for Utah is really good because they shut down Laviska Shenault for Colorado.
Mm-hmm. And he's entered the draft.
He's going to be a first-round pick for sure. But look, I don't think this game, unless Utah, now if Utah goes out and wins, like I said, by at least 2 touchdowns, then we've got some controversy. I think also if that happens and then Baylor beats Oklahoma, I think it's a shoe-in that Utah's in. No matter, look, Paul Feinbaum said nobody wants to see Utah. No. Well, that may be true, but that's not what this whole thing's about. It shouldn't be, and I know that does play into it. But that's where we are. That's the mistake in this whole thing is guys like Feinbaum say nobody wants to watch them. So wait, if they're one of the 4 best teams and nobody wants to watch them, they don't deserve to get in? They shouldn't get to go to the playoff? Like, get that out of here. That's what's wrong with this whole system, and that's exactly the way I believe the committee looks at it. Well, we could make a lot of money if Oklahoma's fan base is way bigger than Utah's. Let's put them in, even if it's close. So if it was the flip of a coin, I think it's no doubt it's Oklahoma. So, like I said, I told you from the beginning, I don't have any faith in the committee, but Utah's got to show up big time.
I think the eye test is huge this week. It's going to be, and we've watched throughout the season, but I love when you have somebody in sports in general. We both grew up around sports, played in college, and had the opportunity. But I love when we get to sit there and have that moment where everything is on the line. To me, sports, some coaches, some players, some athletes, like Michael Jordan was a great player. But what made him the best player was that in the last 2 or 3 minutes, everybody got the you-know-what out of his way and let him take over an entire game. In football, watching Tom Brady or Peyton Manning orchestrate 2 minutes, John Elway in his prime, all those guys that would do these, Aaron Rodgers when the game is on the line. The little things that make the good players great. The clutch hitting, Jose Altuve hitting a walk-off home run to beat the Yankees. Those little things for a guy that can't even ride Dumbo ride at Disney World when they went and celebrated because he's only 5'5". Like everything that happens is one that in sports today we see a team go through the season. And, okay, what do we make of Baylor winning 61-6 against Kansas? I mean, Kansas didn't show up, but you can beat up a team. But right now, what we do know is that these teams have gone 11-1. they've gotten to this point. And they know that if Utah has to know more than the other two, that one of the other two teams is still going to be looked at if Utah wins. What I mean is Utah is going to be – Baylor or Oklahoma is going to be recognized because they're 6 and 7. Whoever wins that game as a possibility to jump Utah. Baylor and Oklahoma, if Utah loses, they're in the clear as long as Georgia doesn't win. If Georgia wins, it doesn't matter. All this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But Baylor goes out there and wins that game by a lot. Now there's going to be a question. If Baylor goes out and beats when they're up 28-3 in Oklahoma, and they go out this week and they beat Oklahoma, let's say 38-20, which I don't see happening. Oklahoma's a 10-point favorite for a reason. But if they crushed them, then you got to put them in the way they're playing lately. And their only loss was a game that they were up a ton against against Oklahoma, and they let them back into the game. So the eye test to me is so vital this week. It's such a crucial where you're watching them. Not only are you watching the score, but you're watching how they play. Same thing with Georgia and LSU in this game, meaning it's not going to change the dynamics, but I want to see a lot because I've been saying for a while, Georgia's defense, 74 touchdowns LSU has scored this year. Georgia's defense has allowed 12. If Georgia is able to show a blueprint against Joe Burrow, then, which he hasn't seen this year, then I'm going to say, well, he played some really crappy defenses compared to the way. And Joe Burrow is the real deal. He is the real deal. I'm done. For anybody that hasn't, he just went through a whole season in some of the most hostile environments in Bryant-Denny and put on a show of over almost 400 yards. Was flawless, the highest quarterback rating. He's breaking every record. Joe Burrow's the man. He is the man. But if Georgia's showing that they can compete in that game and they win that game 14-10, if you're a Clemson fan, if you're an Ohio State fan, who's at that level defensively, you got to feel pretty confident as well.
Going back to your eye test is vital. See, that's where I understand what you're saying, but Utah is not an eye test team. Because if you go by the eye test and you're saying we're going to look, these teams are evenly matched, let's look at the eye test, automatically people that don't really follow college football can tell you who the quarterback of Oklahoma is because of how big of a story it is and who he is, who he's played for, his background, where Utah – most people can't name one player. Most people don't even realize Utah's in the playoff. And this is what I mean with all the hype. It goes back to what we were talking about with Alabama. Alabama's track record gets them some bonus points when you talk about really great teams, when they were talking about are they the fourth best team. Even though their schedule, their best win was, Tennessee this year now? A&M?
A&M, I guess, yeah.
Tennessee and A&M, I believe, have the same record. So it depends on how you want to talk. But regardless, that's my point. Utah is a defensive grinding team. They grind on you. In the beginning of that game against Colorado, if you go and you're like, why are they not blowing them out already? Well, it's because that's not how they play. Where Oklahoma comes and they hit you fast. Jalen Hurts and CeeDee Lamb, I mean, those are dynamic guys. But we know that. Utah is not that style of team. Utah is a grounded out, they're going to run the football. They're going to stick to what they do best. They're going to wear you out in the fourth quarter. They're going to take over. And really in the second half, that's kind of why a lot of their stuff is gone. But that's where I hate that because we go by the I understand the eye test, but at the same time, that doesn't suit all these teams.
No, but look, what I'm saying is, and not everybody can, but not everybody. But if you've been around football long enough and you've watched the game, you can tell real quickly the teams that are elite to the teams that are very good, then the teams that are good to the other level. Like, we sat here, and when Florida was playing Georgia, we just were like, hey, guys, Florida, you played well, but can we just all admit Georgia has better athletes right now? They have better players. That's the thing. Same thing when that's where my mindset's going is Utah, you're a really good team. But if you played against Clemson, if you played LSU, if you played against Ohio State, you're just not on that level. The athletes aren't on that level. And there's going to be those plays, that screen pass, where you see an Ohio State or Clemson guy like T. Higgins coasting by these guys that run a 4.5. They're trying to catch up to him, and they just can't. But we've seen this story. I would like to be wrong, but we've seen this story already of Michigan State with Washington, with other teams in the past that have been this team. And those teams, some of them were undefeated. Those teams were undefeated. And they get beat 31-3. I'm seeing no matter what. It's not a knock on Utah. Right now, we have three really, really good teams in college football, extremely good. I think Georgia would be close. Alabama with Tua. they'd be in the mix. But the other teams out there are good, but not at that level. And that's just how I see it. Oklahoma's, Baylor's, Utah's, Florida's, Auburn's, all these teams, good football teams. But there's 3 really, really good football teams this year. Ohio State, Clemson, and LSU are very good football teams. And it's going to be fun to watch. I just don't think whoever gets that 4th, unless Georgia proves it against LSU this week, that's the wild card. They've always been the wild card. From day one, they've been the wild card, the 2.5 in that group. If Georgia wins this week, then I think we have 4 teams that are Clash of the Titans. And it's not a knock on any of them. I just don't. With me, I want to see the eye test because I want to sit back, because I haven't watched every Utah game, but I want to sit back and go, well, shoot, man. Because I've watched a few, but I don't get anything out of doing that watching against Arizona, things like that. Clemson, I would say a lot of the same thing this year if we didn't already know the blueprint of what Trevor Lawrence and the team accomplished last year. When they did that last year against Alabama, and watched that juggernaut and the way they played. But if they were just beating Wake Forest and North Carolina every week and Maryland, and these are these teams like this, and you're going, they didn't play Maryland, but whoever they're playing, you go, well, I wouldn't get enough out of that too. I want to see it against Oregon has established themselves as a brand and a good team. So if they go out there and they don't have to air raid them. I'm talking even if they win a close game, but you can see the way they're hitting, the way they make big plays on 3rd down, the way the quarterback is efficient on big drives, those things. It's not just blowing at a team. It's closing gaps, speed off the line, winning the line of scrimmage. When a team on 4th and 1 is an elite football team with a big offensive line, and they can maul over you and pick up that line instead of having a guy have to sneak through. Like Chuba, I'm watching Hubbard last week, and he's making like 15 plays for Oklahoma State. But that line allowed 4 people on a weak defensive line for Oklahoma to separate and get inside the gaps. Like, that's a horrible offensive line, and Hubbard just made like a dance and made the play. That's not a good team. That's a great player making a play. If they're winning the line of scrimmage and they're winning these battles, then I'll sit back and go, all right, well, that team showed to me that they can. But we can't get that judgment against Colorado. I just can't do that right now. And people said the same thing about Alabama, but we've seen those Alabama players prove it years before and been at this level when they get in the big game.
But we can't say the same thing with Oklahoma State, period. Because here's the thing, like, yeah, they had a better record. Well, records can be very deceiving.
Oklahoma State's not a good football team.
No, but they, and people are like, well, they were ranked in Oklahoma, but Oklahoma didn't dominate them. That's the other part about that.
Oklahoma's not a great football team.
No, but here's my thing. Another thing too, and this is something we got to figure this out as well, because those West Coast teams. Look, I would love to figure it out because I'm tired of staying up till 1:00 in the morning watching Oregon play. But these West Coast teams, most people, they don't know enough about them because they don't stay up and watch them. Because these games aren't on at 2:30 or 3 or 6. When Utah got the opportunity to play at 6:00 last week on ABC, that was huge for them because they haven't had a primetime game. And it's a shame that was a primetime game, but I think it was just people trying to say, hey, look, here's one of the teams that you need to see. Just like when they did Oregon the week before and things like that. Like, there's so much. I don't think it matters. 1, 2, and 3. I still think Clemson is going to be a favorite to win, in my opinion. I just have a sneaky feeling about that. But regardless, it's still a big for whatever school gets in, just for their school and generally like what it does. And it means a lot more to Utah because of them being Utah. But we've seen this song and dance before where we're like, oh, well, that team, hey, look, UCF went and played LSU. UCF went and played Auburn. And people are like, wait a minute, what's this team doing? Like, the rosters for Auburn and the rosters for LSU were a lot better than the roster for UCF.
Yeah.
So when you look at the rosters and things like that you can't assume, well, that's purely a better team because you still have to play the game and everything. And for me, the hardest part that I have, when I look at Utah, they're a well-balanced team on offense and defense. They both play off of each other. When I look at Oklahoma, they better score 40 if they're going up against a good team because that defense, no matter what job Alex Grinch has done, they're not going to stop anybody.
I mean, I've watched and I've followed some of their games, and I know they've taken it out on teams. And, to me, though, with Utah, it's the style of how they're winning games is we're going to run right through you. I've watched Zach Moss, and Hundley can take off as a quarterback and make big plays too. They're both very dynamic back there. But the biggest difference is, and we all know, is the plays when you're a running team, when you dominate on the run and you go up against juggernauts, it's extremely difficult to do. It is extremely difficult for Zach Moss or anybody for that matter to be able to go up against Ohio State or Clemson and win. Think about it. The epitome of that is Wisconsin. Wisconsin is, to me, Wisconsin to Utah would be a great football game. And that's not a knock on either. Those are both really good. But when you have a Wisconsin-style team that went up against Ohio State last time, and I think, honestly, Ohio State's going to cover the 16 points in this one, is you can only do so much because the speed and the way that those gaps are closed, you're not going to be able to beat them off the line of scrimmage. And against Colorado, you'll see sometimes where that gap, that A gap or some of those, all of a sudden you'll see parting the Red Sea, and Moss gets it, and then he breaks 70, and there's nobody on Colorado that can catch him. We're not going to see a 70-yard touchdown run against Clemson or Ohio State. They don't let those plays happen. And so then you're saying, okay, Hundley's going to have to beat him on some play actions. And that's why a lot of those games, like with Notre Dame last year, or even with Michigan State and with Washington, because those are comparable teams, like a hard, they were all every one of them in the college football playoff has been a 31-34-3 game. And I'm not rooting against Utah. I would hope to see this, but we've seen the story and song so many times that I just feel that right now there's 3 teams, and I'm going to have a hard time. What I want to see personally is I want to see how LSU does against Georgia, because if Joe Burrow, to me, because I believe if you have an elite, great quarterback, and we've seen it with the Cam Newtons, we've seen it with Vince Youngs, we've seen it with Tebow's, we've seen it with players that have dominated, Deshaun Watson. If you have what Joe Burrow, if he goes out there and he's able to, look what Tua did. If Tua doesn't come into that football game for Alabama, they don't win a national title. It took an elite quarterback. Joe Burrow, if Joe Burrow doesn't go out there, if he goes out and dominates Georgia, I'm telling everybody, screaming at the top of the mountain, go put your money on LSU to win the national title. Because if they do it to Georgia, to me, Georgia is not as good of a football team as those other teams. But their defense can be argued it's the best in the country.
But because their defense, that's exactly my point. You can argue that they're one of the 4 best teams. And I don't think anybody would disagree if you said, well, Georgia is better than Utah, Georgia is better than Oklahoma, Georgia is better than Baylor.
Yeah.
And there's no argument. I mean, So, but that goes back to my point again. Oklahoma, it's been Jalen and CeeDee Lamb all year long.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So you're telling me if you take a guy like CeeDee Lamb and you put him against Clemson, Ohio State, or LSU, they don't take him out of the game. And then what? Like, what can Jalen do?
Yeah.
And that's been this is where Utah can run the football. They want to run the football. But then Tyler Huntley has thrown for almost 2,800 yards. Justin Herbert's thrown for 31. That just tells you. And they throw the football a lot.
Mm.
So they can throw the football. They can do what they need to do. And then the deciding factor to me is they can play defense. Now, can they win one of those games? Probably not. But if you're looking at complete team top to bottom, that's my argument.
I'm like I said, I'm rooting for them. I'm just playing the card. Everything that I do and everything that comes out of my mouth is based on a moment where I saw something go on and say that is the moment that I saw that this team was this. It's my opinion. Nobody's wrong. Utah can go out there and win. But when BYU, Northern Illinois, Idaho State, I didn't watch all these games, but I'm looking at this moment. At BYU, Northern Illinois, Idaho State, they lost to USC, which happens. Look, Clemson almost lost to North Carolina. Washington State, Oregon State, Arizona State, Cal, at Washington, which was a close game, and that's a tough place to play, but Washington's a 6-5 team this year. UCLA, Arizona, Colorado. There's not one game on that entire schedule where I can say, you know what? That was a moment. The only one you can make cases for would be USC and Washington, and both of those teams finished the season. One finished 8-4, and they beat them, and then the other team was 6-5. I'm just saying, there's not one moment that they played out of conference or something where I said, okay, even Oregon. That's why maybe I'm high on Oregon and why I'm taking Oregon to win. Because I watched that whole game, and Jeff, this is before we had talked and stuff like that, but Oregon and Auburn battled it out. The same Auburn that just beat Alabama, the same Auburn that battles with everybody. They lost by 3 points at LSU. They almost beat Florida, except the last play in the swamp. They were up in the third quarter. That good Auburn football team. Auburn is a good football team. And Oregon was pound for pound every single play. So for Utah to be a 6-point favorite over that team, shows that Vegas is saying this is a good football team too, because it wouldn't make that if that's not the case. Baylor keeps winning games, but Baylor's not getting the street cred from it. They're a 9.5-point underdog to Oklahoma. If Utah was just winning games like a Baylor on the schedule, they would be a 7 or 8 point underdog to Oregon too. So I get that they're showing. I want to see it. I would love to see it this way. That's what I'm saying. To me, it's not prove me wrong, because they don't need to prove anything. It's prove to me that you can compete. It's more about, I'm not saying you can't. I just want to see that you can. And that, to me, Utah hasn't been able to give us any of that. We do have to take a quick break. We'll get back to this conversation when we come back. Right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
For small businesses, payroll is complex and time-consuming, and mistakes can mean tax trouble. Sure Payroll makes it easy to pay employees and file federal, state, and local taxes, and accuracy is guaranteed with full service plans, all done online in minutes, and with award-winning support, even on weekends and evenings. So spend more time for your small business and less time on payroll and taxes. To learn more and get a free 1-month trial, visit surepayroll.com now or call 844-SURE-PAYROLL.
At the 1955 Rose Bowl, Goodyear began providing stunning aerial coverage of college football, forever changing the way the game is experienced. In recognition of its significant contribution, the Goodyear blimp is being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame as an honorary member. It's the first non-player or coach to ever be inducted. Goodyear is celebrating this honor by reminding you to look forward and make sure you're prepared for the road ahead. Discover more at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, more driven.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back. Talk football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante with you alongside Jeff Price, having some fun as it's going to be an intriguing week for the college football championship games here, conference championships. A lot of fans still waiting the anticipation. Look, we've already seen a lot of anticipation with Bob Stoops. I'm still not buying it. I have a lot of people I respect that have told me it's still happening, but I'm not buying into that at this point. I think based on it didn't happen on Saturday, no reason why not to think it's Mike Norvell at this point. And if anybody's been following the story forever, it seems, Florida State has they paid a firm to handle this. So outside, even people, sat right next to Flash, Gordon Sprague right here, one of the top boosters right there, the name of the coaching office. He used to make jokes. Jimbo Fisher was in his office, the Sprague building. And he only knows so much. Some of the top, Sarah Blakely for Spanx could drop $1 billion if she wanted. Only knows so much. But we got to narrow it down at this point. If it was a James Franklin or a Bob Stoops or Jack Del Rios or any of these people at this point, wouldn't you believe that it would have already been done because you've lost now 6 days in recruiting? That would be a terrible move for your school. Early signing period is right around the corner. And you just missed 6 vital days of that? That's because most of those kids on the brink, they're not going to be like, oh, yeah. What was that? You don't have a coach yet? I don't know if I want to be there. I'm not really sure if I want to go and I want to spend my college, my college life as a 4 or 5 star at a place we don't even know. But if people are telling them, hey, look, we know our coach, just waiting after a conference championship, it's a little enticing based on saying, oh, well, our coach is a conference champion, maybe. Mike Norvell is going to be the guy. And the reason they're painting the field, if people didn't know, talking to Big Moose downstairs earlier about it, Florida State guy, they have graduation. So we've read some of these. I mean, it has been insane to think. And yes, they did that for Taggart. They painted the field and had him do that. First off, anything that you did for Taggart, you probably don't want to do this time around. But they painted the field because of graduation. And Steve Spurrier, who's a friend, remember, with Bob Stoops, said, look, the guy's not coaching. He posted another picture today showing he was with the XFL hanging out. He's Pop Snow posting things that he secretly snuck into the Seminoles Club. They've already shot his press conference, and they're going to post it out today. If this all happens in the history of doing sports broadcasting, Jeff, we've sat up here for a while, been in this business for 12, 13 years. This would be the biggest, more than watching probably OJ driving down a highway in a white Bronco. This would be one of these kind of moments where I just, woo, like if they actually do have a Bob Stoops secretive press conference that was shot on Monday and he was snuck in Thomasville, 2 Champions Club through the door, and in a way that some of these people are posting this stuff. It's just, it's comical, but I mean, I guess anything is possible. That's all I'm going to say, but no. Reality, though, would be Mike Norvell is their next coach.
Well, I mean, if the whole Stoops thing is true with what Pop Snow said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I'm going to go ahead and place this week. I'm going to place a bet. All right? It's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals winning, Miami Dolphins winning. Let's go Atlanta Falcons. Let's go Washington Redskins. Let's go New York Giants. Yeah, let's just go ahead and place a bet on all this because this is unbelievable. And then I got to go buy a bomb shelter because obviously the world is ending.
Oh, it's coming to it. It's coming to it. And it might, actually. Just saying. It's just,
they're saying Phillip Rivers will win a Super Bowl this year.
I've already started the bomb shelter. I'm looking at a story right now that says, are the Bradys better without Tom Brady? And at that moment,
are the Bradys better without Tom Brady?
I mean, the Patriots, Brady. Okay. I just call them the Bradys, you know what I'm saying? But are the Patriots better without Tom Brady? That these stories are now coming out.
That's awesome.
It's time for bomb shelter. Coming back for more. It's Talk Football with Coach K.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Dude, it's game day, and I'm fired up that football is back.
I know, but I'm bummed they don't show my favorite team on TV around here.
All right, well, what about that place Calvert's? They're a really cool English pub-style restaurant, and they have a really good drink menu.
Yeah, but what about the game?
Don't worry, they have the NFL Sunday ticket and plenty of TVs, so we can watch any game that we want.
Ooh, I just looked at the menu, and that Abbey Road burger is calling my name.
Calvert's in the Heights Restaurant and Bar, 3102 East Cervantes Street, calvertsintheheights.com.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Before I got married, my dad told me, happy wife, happy life.
Really? Mine told me, get her bling, you'll be king.
That man's a genius.
Your JCPenney associate will help you find something that sparkles as much as she does. Shop select fine jewelry up to 60% off. Plus, save an extra 40% with your JCPenney credit card and coupon. JCPenney Rewards members get select diamond jewelry for just $25. JCPenney. Offers valid 12/5 to 12/11. Credit offer subject to credit approval. $25 diamond jewelry excluded from coupon. Other exclusions apply. See jcp.com for coupon and details.
This is the busiest time of the year in the city, but the holidays wait for no one, so I'm glad I have USPS to get presents to my nephews in time. Traffic jams or not.
You don't see many people when you live way out here, but even on snowy days, I can rely on my carrier Donna to show up.
Wherever you call home, the United States Postal Service goes the extra mile to bring your holidays home. Learn more at USPS.com/season. And with informed delivery notifications, get a digital preview of your mail before it arrives. United States Postal Service. Priority you.
UWF with the upset. Will Kennedy joins us to recap the Valdosta State win and a look ahead to the quarterfinals matchup against Lenoir-Rhyne and its conference championship week this Saturday on Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The UWF Argos stunned the defending national champion Valdosta State in the second round of the Division II football playoffs. Now they face Lenoir-Rhyne in the quarterfinals. Catch the action this Saturday beginning at 11:30 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back. Talk football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola. Chad Brillante alongside Jeff Price. Coach K out again. Wish him the best. Hope he's feeling a little better. Trying to make it over tomorrow, but it's Friday. Yeah, maybe make it through the weekend. Conference championship games. Jeff, so Colin Kaepernick goes out there and plays and doesn't get calls back. And as I always like to say, nobody's calling Kaepernick. But apparently somebody did get a call. That was actually in the which is even funnier to this whole story, the charade that it was.
Yeah, Jordan Veazey. He was originally on the Bills practice squad earlier in the year, and they cut him. And of course, he lives in Gadsden. It's where his home is. And he found out, of course, Kaepernick said he was going to be in Atlanta. Called him up. Kaepernick wanted him out there. Now the Washington Redskins have signed him to their practice squad. So, he said that the workout is the reason he got the phone call. And it was on one of Kaepernick's best throws. So it's how ironic.
Whole thing was a sham. Look, I don't care who you are, what you believe in, anything. There's a lesson you need to know in life. If you don't like what your boss, your job, anything out there, then start your own company and be your own boss. Because whatever you think Colin Kaepernick deserves, likes, hates, whatever you guys think of him, the 32 bosses in the NFL have told him no. And it's their team. So be it. Thanks again for tuning in to Talk Football with Coach K. We'll get to more coming up here today on the Sports Drive. Jeff, have a great one.
As always.
All right. Coming back for more. Reminder, coming up tonight, Dallas Cowboys and Chicago Bears, 7:20 kickoff. And we'll keep you posted with all the latest news. Somebody's got to win.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.